Boom, 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 boom.
What it is.
Boom, boom, boom.
Hey.
Boom, 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 boom. Bad lady, you gon' hurt your back.
Shout out to Dallas. Dallas's finest. The green-eyed bandit herself. Badu Badu. I can remember 1992 when Baduism first came out. Because that's when my mama was still hella young. And my mom's had a partner whose first name was Tyrone. So right after the album dropped, in between that and the second album, when they released what was just a vocal warm up that became a legendary single. You know, she freestyled that whole thing, her and the band. Yeah, called Tyrone. Oh man, check it, y'all. You wanna start over? Hey man, I just want to tell y'all something, man. Big shout out to Badu. I really respect that thing that she did in Dallas, where she got picked up by the Pose. You know what I'm talking about?
The window seat video.
Yeah, she got picked up by.
When she de-evolved.
That was a wonderful
on the street.
statement of free speech right
For
there.
sure.
That was a wonderful use of free speech.
So we talking about free speech. We talking about the dark side of the states.
The state of events.
The dark side of the force.
There's a state of events taking place.
And so I saw something.
I'm a wartime
It's a video
president.
that came out around last week. For a young lady. Her name is Amy Cooper.
Okay.
There's a young man, young African American man, young Afro-European
Descendant individual.
diasporic individual.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
he was bird watching in Central Park in
Bird
New York.
watching.
Shout out to New York. We in fried rice.
Hey. That's beautiful. I like that.
And this young lady was in the park. She was with a dog, her dog. Well, it was adopted dog.
Poor dog.
Poor dog.
Poor dog getting traumatized. By some
And
bullshit.
and the dude, Mr. Christian, was like, "Yo, you got to put your dog on a leash. Like, it's the signs right there.
Right.
Clearly says, in this area of the park,
Right.
your dog has to be on a leash. Just in this one area. Like,
Right,
literally,
right.
that was an area not too far away where she could have her dog off the leash, no problem.
Right.
But in this one particular area, of
What
the
did she
park,
do, A.black? What did she do, A.black?
So
Tell the people what she did.
she according to the report, she got a little bit upset. She started getting a little bit more frustrated with the situation.
Oh, dang.
So Mr. Christian, he pulled out his phone, started recording her
Uh-huh.
because he wanted to get it on tape.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, and she was started to come towards him, and he was like, no, you stay over there. Social distancing is important.
Right. Social distancing.
So he's like, no, you stay over there. And she was like, stop recording me. She's like, I'm going to call the police and tell them that you're assaulting me, that you're threatening me with violence.
How about that?
And so just the idea of that popping into her head is something to do to get back at him, brought me to the idea of weaponized privilege.
Weaponized what?
Weaponized privilege. Like, she knew she's a white woman. She knew as a white woman that she had certain powers endowed to her, certain privileges because she was a white woman, just keeping it real.
All right.
And she knew that one of those privileges is that if she called the police and let them know that a black man, an African-American man, was assaulting her or threatening her with violence, that they would take that very seriously.
How about that?
And that part for me is very powerful because of what it communicates, that certain lives are more valuable than other lives. That's what she believed. Her behavior supported the idea that she believed that her life was more valuable than his. And her ideas, which that her dog should be able to do what she want, he or she want. I don't know if it's he or she, the dog.
I feel like I gotta
It's
ask
important.
you. I gotta ask you how, because when you say that, I get the part about her actions being on some BS on the other part, but the part about supporting the value of life being differently, help me understand that part.
Because the whole concept of her calling the police was that the police would take her idea, the idea of her being assaulted. The police would show up, basically guns drawn.
Okay.
Because it was a black man that was doing it to her. When she called, she when she called the police, she reiterated over and over and over again that there's an African American man.
Oh, she actually did call the cops?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, the video is her calling the
I
police.
didn't see
Like,
the video.
yeah, well, definitely want to see that, but
Nah.
I don't know if you want to see it. But she was very calm at first. She was like, "There's an African American man, and he's threatening violence against me. I'm in Central Park. Please come as soon as possible." And then she's holding the dog the whole time, and the dog's going crazy. So she's holding the dog, got the phone, and then she's like, and then as the dog gets crazier, her voice inflections get worse and worse. And then she starts to say, "He's assaulting me right now. There's an African American man assaulting me in the park. Come now, please, please."
So this is the part that I wonder. I can't. I got so caught up in the story that you was just telling that I didn't remember your original statement. Your original statement, you said that her actions show.
Her actions show that she believed.
She believed
that her life was more valuable than his.
Okay. She's saying that she believed that her life was more
valuable. Because she started from a place where the rules didn't apply to her.
Right.
Even though the guy was just asking her to follow the rules, just like everybody else.
I like where you're going.
She started with the place that the rules don't apply to me.
Right.
And then she went on to say that because you're African American, I have power over you. And when I call the police, they're going to support my power.
Right.
So I feel like she used her privilege and weaponized it. And it was something I had never really conceptualized before, but it happens all the time.
I agree that she weaponized her privilege for sure. Yeah, man. I guess I this is me wanting to be careful with language too, right? Like even with the way that I'm listening to it, I feel like usually those people, I wonder if people in her position really do feel that there's a difference between the value of these two lives, or if they just take advantage of the fact that that's the way the system works. It makes me wonder if if internally
question.
There is an acknowledgement, right, that we're both humans,
right,
and both of our lives have value, and at the same time, this is something that I know I could do, so I'm gonna do it.
So initially,
it reminds me of like how children.
So when she's been on a few news outlets and she's lost her job, and I think she even lost the dog. I feel like the people that gave her the dog took the dog back.
Wow. So
actually, the video ends with like the dog is going so crazy and she's on the phone that she just has to put the dog on the leash.
Right.
And the guy says thank you, and then cuts off the video and leaves. So the video, eventually gets to the point where he was just like, the humanness of it is like, I just wanted you to follow the rules like everybody else.
That's right.
But what came from it, especially now in this conversation, that this race conversation is so important, it's happening right now.
How about this? These race conversations.
These race conversations, and they're coming from different angles, which is why I'm happy that you guys are listening and tuning in to Pass It Bad to get our perspective on it, because it's so much craziness that's happening. And so she was saying initially that she was afraid that the guy came. He was bird watching, right?
Oh my God!
So black man appears out of nowhere. People are afraid, right?
Oh my God!
I don't know why, but that's what happens. It happens to me every day in China. Like somebody turns the corner, sees me, and they're like, literally almost shit on themselves because they're just so afraid of seeing a black man.
Have you ever seen any actual shit dribbling down the legs of someone as they waddled away from you as quickly as possible?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it. But I see the fear. I see the surprise. And so she was surprised that the man had appeared. But that's the thing, like whenever you feel fear, right? There's the natural response of fight, flight, or freeze, right?
All right.
But I feel like when it comes to black bodies, the response to African European.
Can we say something about this? This is my fault. Yeah. Listening to him stumble over that is all my fault, because I'm a person who encourages people to not put people inside of racial labels.
Right.
And I also think it's important when we talk about that narrative of slavery in the States, when the States is a place that during the African Holocaust, less than 10% of the total Africans who came out of Africa were dropped in the States, and the majority of them, over 90% of them, were taken to places south of the States, okay, to where we have the dominant narrative because we're the dominant culture, citizens of the States, right? So I think that part is messed up, right? Yeah. And I think that's a big part of the narrative. But this is my fault. When y'all listen to him talk about the Afro-European diasporic individuals, right? This is my fault to have to hear him go through that, because I think that it's important.
I want to say that
that's important.
I read a tweet and someone pointed out that it's not just fear, but there's contempt there, and I bring the word contempt is language is important. Contempt is the feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn.
Okay.
And so when police brutality happens, or when weaponized privilege happens, I don't feel like it's a fear response in the essence of like flight, like the flight element of it. But there's the fight. There's always I feel like there's the fight element of it that comes from it.
All right.
The fight element, because I see the fear, right? You walk. I've seen the people that lock the doors when they see me coming, or now with COVID, some they like tighten their nostril strip when they see me coming.
Okay.
So I feel like there's a fearful response as well, but then there's also this violent contempt fight response in that fear.
Gotcha.
And I think it's rooted in bullshit because I'm a human being just like you're a human being, and we're all human beings, and I just so happen to look different. And that's the part that hurts me.
Let me say this. I'm sorry for your pain. I'm sorry for your pain. And I'm sorry for the pain of everybody out there that is suffering as a result of this, man. I think one of the best solutions right now is, again, people got to be. It all starts from within, man.
Yeah.
It all starts from within. And as corny as that is, or whatever, I mean, I'm happy to be able to be the facilitator of a kumbaya moment, to the best of my abilities.
And that's the
at a
thing.
time of need.
It's a human thing. I won't even isolate it to the United States because I have a friend in Dongguan, and I won't say his name.
Talk on it.
But he was at his bar that he owns or he runs. I don't know whether just the manager, but he runs this bar. He was there with his lady and other friends. His lady is Chinese, is a local young lady.
All right.
And there was a customer that came in, a Chinese man.
All right.
And I think he was like maybe interested in his lady or whatever.
Okay.
But wanted to speak to her, and she didn't respond. She didn't respond to him. She don't gotta respond to him.
That's right.
But because she didn't respond, he got up in arms. Next thing you know, my friend, who was a brown guy, who was actually I think he's mixed. But
everybody's mixed.
Everybody's mixed, right? But I mean, he's a mulatto in a lot of ways. Brown.
So are we.
Yeah.
That part.
Facts.
That part.
So anyway, he's
allegedly so are we.
He's I would say he's
Afro-European.
He's Afro-European for sure. And the man threatened to call the police on him and say that he was a drug dealer and say that he was like using and dealing drugs.
How about
you know
that?
What I'm saying?
How about that?
So he weaponized the privilege of the fact that he's a local and that he could just, at any point call the authorities and make up something.
Right.
In order for because he felt slighted, he lost face.
Okay.
And that's when I come to the point that it's a human being problem.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not necessarily just a United States problem.
Supports what I was saying.
Yeah.
You in a room with 100 folks of a so-called group or whatever. It's the same percentages of this, that, and the other. Man, it's a human issue.
And that's where like the racism conversation is so important because the question is, where did it begin? And I feel like racism has always been a human issue because you go back to the days of the even some of the earliest civilizations like the Kush, and the Egyptians, Kushites,
Right.
And the Egyptians. They had their own levels of classism, racism.
So we've been told.
I mean, so we've been told. But there's no perfectly harmonious society, no matter whether it's a black society or it's a white society, or it doesn't matter. Like there are going to be elements of.
I don't know, man.
When
I
there's
feel
government,
I feel like if the police had left Fela alone, they could have did it. Shout out to Nigeria.
No, definitely not in Nigeria. You talk about how the Europeans drawing lines that economically work for people. No, that would have never. No, definitely not Nigeria.
Fela, come on, man. He had the commune and everything.
He's great.
He had the commune.
Don't
he had
get
the
me
commune. Did you know that? You didn't know that.
Shouts to Fela.
Fela had his home.
Of course. Oh yeah, I know.
Was his own country.
Oh yeah, I know about Fela.
Anybody could have did it. Fela could have did it. Fela.
There is no society where there isn't, problems between people. Conflict is a human creation.
Conflict is
natural.
A human creation.
It's natural. It's natural. It's natural amongst all species, all animal species, all species, even of cells, of small organisms.
Hey, before we hop off of this issue, while we still on it, I think that this was one of the brilliances of that very classic Sean Corey Carter joint where he says,
Bars.
yeah, bars. Oh yeah, he definitely had his moments, didn't he? When my man said, I'm from the hood where the
I'm from the hood where the sons are swallowing the
bullets will follow
Following
him,
a-
and so much coke that you could run
a
the slalom.
slalom.
But when my man said what he said next,
the cops cornish
top to bottom, they say that we are prone
On
to
to
violence,
violence.
but it's home sweet
Sweet
home.
home.
I really appreciated that part.
Yeah,
right there.
man.
It's just because somebody says that you're prone to violence
Right.
doesn't mean that it's true, and it doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about.
No.
And anybody who's more in your business than they are in their own business, that's somebody who's out of pocket. If you don't know what out of pocket means, it means out of line, out of order. If you're not pointing yours, at yourself as much as you point it at the next person, you are out of order. Check yourself.
Facts.
Learn how to check yourself before you checking all up on somebody else.
So if you haven't seen the video about Miss Amy Cooper, check it out because and let us know what you think.
Feels like we're almost at the transitional point where we're transitioning up out of this. Thank y'all. We love y'all. Pass the bat.
Boom.